Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Emma's vlog. This is the longest running client vlog segment we've ever done. We're up to over 70 vlogs at this point, and it's many people's favorite. So we started Emma's week off with a closed grip bench press for her effort lift. We didn't get a PR there, but it was still a good lift. It was actually fast, it was smooth. It was 140 pounds on a closed grip. So you guys could see the road calibrated plates and then the change plates. So there is that. Afterwards, for supplemental work, we've cut her pressing volume down just a little bit. It was getting to be too much for her overall recovery. We were making good progress with it, but it was getting to the point where her shoulders and stuff can only handle so much, and that's reasonable. You know, only some of my lifters do we run 2 different supplemental presses, right? Not everyone can handle it, and not everyone can handle it for long who can handle it. So we're going with the basics for her for the rest of the workout. We did normal pause benching, again with pinkies closer to the rings, wrist stacking, chin ups, dumbbell lateral raises, and tricep band press downs. Again, as I pointed out, we always let Emma do extra shoulder work. Okay, that's her one muscle that she cares about a lot outside of performance. And again, it kind of goes back to her bikini competitor days. So we always do extra shoulder work because she just likes having nice round shoulders. So the laterals tend to be a mainstay, or you either always do laterals for her or we do upright rows in different phases. We actually do for her, though, very, very little direct tricep work other than bands, because I tend to find in her case, her benching is more often limited by pectoral development than it is by triceps. So I mostly just focus on getting a pump in the triceps with the bands, maintaining elbow health, all of those things. And that's actually my normal protocol for my clients. Anyone who doesn't have a tricep weakness, we just usually do band work. Or we'll do JM presses, again, if they're a pretty advanced lifter and their tricep tendons are very, very healthy. And then we'll just kind of call it quits there. Mainly because the JM presses will tend to carry over to other weak links, not just the triceps, even though we think of it as a tricep movement. All right, for her max effort lower, we did a safety bar squat, and she got very, very deep. That's something that we've been working on with Emma, has been squat depth. All right, she has a pretty good squat. It's by no means shabby. She squatted up in the 230s, around 240 before. Her squats are sometimes a little higher than we would like. So we've been working on hitting depth. And so even though that wasn't a PR, that was the first time she squatted well below parallel with that bar, anything over 200 pounds. So in terms of range of motion, it's definitely a PR. And it's something we're working on. In the belt squat, as you guys can see her doing the belt squats here, we're emphasizing that again on the belt squat. She is going 4 to 5 inches below parallel. She's even having to stand on those plates to make sure that the machine allows her to get that range of motion. Again, that is going to translate into a deeper squat. It's going to translate into better quadricep development, because oftentimes that is what holds us back. It tends to be either mobility or opening up hips, or it can be quads as a weakness will sometimes cause us to cut depth on a squat. So for additional work on this day, we were doing cambered bar good mornings. We're doing the belt squat. And of course, here we see her doing weighted glute ham raises, reverse hyperextensions, hanging leg raises. So one of the things you'll note here, for a long, long time, I had her run very, very high reps on the reverse hyperextension. We used it as a prehab movement. Now we're at a point where I'm loading it heavier. I'm letting her do 10s, and we're using twice as much weight. We're using double the weight that we would use for the 25s. And it's because historically we've done really well with posterior chain development. She does all these other movements. She's strong at them. And so we've always just used it as a prehab. But as far as getting up to the next tier, when we want to use it as an actual muscle building tool, we do have to get more tension on there. And we're utilizing it that way now because, again, she's got a great deadlift. She's deadlifted 320 pounds. But we're at a point where if we want to go up beyond that, there are certain developmental things that we need to see. And again, the glute ham raise can be, the reverse hyperextension can be very instrumental in that. All right, dynamic effort benching, we run the same protocol we have used forever for her for dynamic benching. It works well for her, no need to change it. We always just run bands. We always rotate grips, so we always do 9 triples with rotating grip ranges throughout the sets. So we do 3 sets at 3 different grips. And then, of course, I don't have her doing incline now. We've gone over to just purely dumbbells for supplemental pressing on that day. And normally, if someone had a pec strength, we would not do a secondary press on dynamic day. In her case, pectorals are at the moment limiting her total bench press. You know, and when we point out and talk about weak links like that, we don't mean that the person is weak. We don't even mean that they have weak pectorals. I mean, realistically speaking, she benches 145 pounds with a pause. Okay? No woman who's benching that has weak pecs. It's an issue of relative weakness. Her shoulders are stronger than her chest, for example. So relatively speaking, that's what we mean when we talk about those weaknesses. Because if we can shore up those weakest links, we will get stronger across the board. Right? We always take the weakest link in the chain or in the movement pattern and you make it stronger because we're only as strong as our weakest link. All right, dynamic effort, lower day. Speed squats, box squats with bands, speed sumo against bands. Beautiful as always. She has these down perfect. There's nothing negative to ever say about her speed work. It's always perfect and it has been for well over a year. So that just trucks along. There she is using the belt squat again. As she's noted and Louis has noted, the quad pump and burn is extreme on the belt squat. I love this tool. I wish everyone had access to one. I love this tool so much that I have invested my own money and my own floor space into having one at home, just like they have. All right? Can you get by without it? Sure. I think a leg press can do 95% of what the belt squat can. The belt squat just brings a little more to the table. And I'm just a big fan of it. And again, as they're learning there, the quad burn on it is just very different from a lot of other leg exercises while being able to maintain that squat pattern movement. All right, then we finish up with our normals, and that is glute ham raises, which she's now strong enough to do weighted. We do, again, the reverse hyperextensions and then hanging leg raises. Note that a lot of the lower body between what we do for Emma and what we do for Michelle, their programming is very, very similar for all the posterior chain work. Right, and those final movements that we do. They both deadlift over 315. This is not a coincidence. Incidentally, I use these same tools myself. I deadlift over 600 pounds. Not a coincidence. I use these tools for a reason. They work. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you next time.